Ladies and gentlemen, good day and welcome to Mahanagar Gas Limited Q2 and HY FY22 earnings call hosted by IIFL Securities Limited. As a reminder, all participant lines will be in the listen-only mode. There will be an opportunity for you to ask questions after the presentation concludes. Should you need assistance during the conference, please signal an operator by pressing star and then 0 on your touchtone telephone. Please note that this conference is being recorded. I now hand the conference over to Mr. Harsh Dole from IIFL Securities. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you. Greetings, everyone. On behalf of IIFL Securities, I welcome you all for the second quarter earnings call of Mahanagar Gas. To discuss the results in detail and share the outlook, we have the entire senior management team of the company. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Mr. Sanjeev Dutta, Managing Director, Mr. Sanjay Shende, Deputy Managing Director, Mr. Sunil Ranade, CFO, Mr. Rajesh Waghile, SVP Marketing, Mr. Rajesh Patel, VP Finance. I would first request the management to make opening remarks, subsequent to which we can have the Q&A. Over to you, Jill.
Thank you, Harsh. Before we begin, I would like to mention that some of the statements made in today's discussions may be forward-looking in nature, and we believe that expectations contained in the statement are reasonable. However, the nature involves a number of risks and uncertainties that may lead to different results. The risks and uncertainties relating to these statements include, but are not limited to, the risks and uncertainties regarding fluctuations in sales volumes, fluctuations in foreign exchange, other costs, and our ability to manage growth. Please note that the quarterly numbers are not a reflection of long-term trends or an indication of full-year results, and they should not be attempted to be extrapolated or interpolated into full-year numbers. With this, I will hand over the call to the management for their opening remarks. Thank you, and over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Good afternoon and welcome to the earnings conference call of Mahanagar Gas Limited for the second quarter of the financial year 2021-2022. I would like to thank all of you who have connected for our earnings call today. The outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 and its second wave in April 2021 resulted in significant disturbances and slowdown of economic activities. The company's operations were impacted due to the lockdown. This has resulted in reduction of sales volume across all categories except for domestic PNG, where it is used mainly for cooking. Subsequently, the overall COVID-19 pandemic situation has improved considerably and economic activities have returned to normalcy to a large extent. As far as the gas sector is concerned, India's domestic natural gas production in Q2 of FY 2021-22 was 8.57 BCM, which is an increase of 23% compared to the same period in last year. However, spot LNG prices also witnessed a steep rise, primarily fueled by high demand and shortages in Europe, China and other regions. PNGRB, under its 11th bid round, has floated a tender on 17 September 2021, inviting application cum bid documents for grant of authorization for 65 geographical areas across India. The last date for submission of bids is 15 December 2021. Coming to MGL's operations, I may mention that we are continuously expanding our CGD network in the existing license areas. During the quarter, 78,214 domestic households were connected. Thus, we have established connectivity for nearly 1.71 million households. We have laid 49.36 kilometers of steel and PE pipelines, thereby taking the aggregated pipeline length to over 6,000 kilometers. We have added 3 new CNG stations, and with these, we currently have 277 stations. We also added 77 industrial and commercial consumers, and thus, as on quarter end, we have 4,219 industrial and commercial customers. In order to expand the footprints of CNG where land availability is a serious constraint, we have deployed a mobile refueling unit at Ajivali in Navi Mumbai. Subsequently, MGL issued an advertisement inviting requests for proposals from interested parties to put up more MRUs in Mumbai, Navi Mumbai, Thane and Mira Bhayandar area. Response has been received from 11 parties which are being evaluated. Additionally, in order to expand the user base in CNG, MGL is proactively promoting adoption of CNG in long-haul commercial vehicles. This has been made possible with availability of Type 4 CNG cylinders in the market. MGL is in advanced stage of discussions with MSRTC for retrofitment of buses from HSD to CNG with Type 4 cylinders. Parallelly, MGL is also trying to promote retrofitment of few trucks and trailers belonging to prominent fleet owners of Mumbai as a proof of concept study. MGL is also exploring the possibility of retrofitment of large-scale commercial vehicles from single fuel, that is HSD only, to dual fuel, that is HSD and CNG. In respect of our Raigad GA, we are connected to 45,617 domestic households and 21 CNG stations are currently operational. During the quarter, we have laid 13.12 kilometers of pipeline in Raigad GA, thereby taking total length of pipeline to 281.93 kilometers. Average sales volume for Q2 FY 21-22 is at 3.124 MMSCMD and is higher than pre-COVID average of 2.951 MMSCMD for the financial year 2019-20. Average sales volume for Q2 FY 2021-2022 of 3.124 MMSCMD is consisting of CNG volume of 2.234 MMSCMD, domestic PNG volume of 0.451 MMSCMD, and industrial and commercial volume of 0.439 MMSCMD. There is an increase of 30.3% in the overall sales volume compared to previous quarter, as April and May 2021 were impacted due to the second wave of COVID-19. Compared to the previous quarter, sales volume in case of CNG has increased from 1.551 MMSCMD to 2.234 MMSCMD, which is an increase of 44.1%. In case of industrial and commercial sales, volume has increased from 0.380 MMSCMD to 0.439 MMSCMD, an increase of 15.5%. However, sales volume for domestic segment has marginally reduced from 0.468 MMSCMD to 0.451 MMSCMD, which is a decrease of 3.6%, mainly due to normalcy coming back and work from home has reduced. Current quarter EBITDA is rupees 302 crore compared to previous quarter EBITDA of 304 crore rupees. EBITDA margin is at 36.35% for Q2 compared to previous quarter EBITDA margin of 49.39%. Reduction in margin is mainly due to increase in spot gas prices observed from July 2021 onwards, whereas alternate fuels linked to Brent did not have similar increase, resulting in drop in industrial and commercial margins. Besides, due to a sudden spurt in gas consumption in the priority segments, due to ease in lockdown post May 2021, the requirement of gas went up more than the domestic gas allocation. The gap was bridged through use of spot gas for priority sales in the interest of consumers, resulting in marginal drop in gross margin for CNG and domestic PNG. Net profit after tax for the quarter is at rupees 204 crore, same as the previous quarter. The government notified price of domestic natural gas has been revised from US dollar 1.79 per MMBTU to US dollars 2.9 per MMBTU with effect from 1st October 2021, a rise of 62%. In order to recover full impact of change in priority gas cost, retail prices were increased in two tranches on 5th and then on 14th of October 2021 for CNG and domestic PNG. Mr. Sunil Ranade, our present CFO, is superannuating on 31st of October 2021. Post his superannuation, Mr. Rajesh Patel, Vice President Finance, who is working with the company for last 12 years, shall take over as the CFO with effect from 1st of November 2021. Many of you are acquainted with Mr. Ranade and have come across his proactive approach in dealing with the issues which are important for the investor community. With this, I conclude and would now like to open the floor for questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now begin the question and answer session. Anyone who wishes to ask a question may press star and 1 on the touchtone telephone. If you wish to remove yourself from the question queue, you may press star and 2. Participants are requested to use handsets while asking a question. Anyone who has a question may press star and 1. We'll take our first question from the line of Prabal Singh from Centrum Broking. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I have 2 or 3 questions. One was this problem of domestic for the domestic and CNG segments. Has that problem been resolved now? Is it now back to 110% of requirement as is the policy?
Are you talking with reference to the availability of APM gas for priority sector?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I think we have requested through GAIL to the ministry that some consideration should be given because there was obviously some shortage of supply. We are hopeful that some solution should be in sight in short time. Maybe it could be in the month of November also. We may hear some positive news.
But as of now, sir, how much is it short by? Is it possible to share a percentage or a range of how much you are having to supply from LNG to the priority sector?
Yes, in the second quarter, around 5% was supplied through RLNG in the priority segment.
Okay, and the same run shortfall has continued as of now, at least.
Maybe it might have marginally increased also.
Okay, as volumes have gone up even more, sir. Is that the reason?
The rise in the volume has been very sharp in CNG.
Okay. And sir, the second question then was a follow-up. Given the kind of LNG prices increased and yet, keeping the 5th as well as the 14th price increase in mind, is there a further margin softness that you're looking at for Q3? I know it's early days yet, but given that commercial industrial margins are benchmarked to LPG, at least the prices, is there still leeway to pass on this huge impact, or we might have to take a little bit of a hit given the kind of LNG prices we are seeing right now, at least in Q3?
Yeah, we'll have to see on both fronts. One is on priority segment and another is, as you rightly said, industrial and commercial category.
Right, sir.
Priority segment, we have already increased the prices. In fact, to recoup some fixed costs, there was first increase in February.
Right.
In order to recoup the cost which was there in the APM price itself, we had already taken 2 price rises, which I think MD has already described in his speech in the month of October. There is definitely an ability to pass through even further, but whatever increase was there from $1.79 to 2.90, almost we have passed through already with respect to priority segment, and we can still consider, depending upon various factors, whether third price rise will be required. This is as regards priority segment. Whereas in case of industrial and commercial category, yes, it has been our selling price philosophy that we have been benchmarking our price index to alternate fuel prices. However, the contract has certain provisions where there will be further flexibility in the pricing also. We will be taking a call in that respect soon, but we will have to consider both the things. We will have to balance it out. One is the margin perspective and another is obviously the volumes. So, but there will be a possibility and flexibility exists in the contract if we wish to do something further.
Got it, sir. Last question, if I may, sir. If you can share, like you do every quarter, the industrial and commercial volume separately for the quarter and the prices, sales prices on an average for both segments.
The commercial volume was 0.153 MMSCMD for this quarter.
Right.
Industrial was 0.286 MMSCMD.
Okay.
And price realization in case of restaurant category was rupees 46.67 per SCM, whereas industrial it was 42.43 per SCM, rupees per SCM.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll come back if I have more questions. Thank you.
Thank you. We would like to request participants to restrict your questions to 2 per participant. Time permitting, you may come back in the queue for a follow-up question. We'll take a next question from the line of Somaiya V from Spark Capital. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity. Continuing with the alternate fuel prices, could you just provide the alternate fuel prices for the last quarter, as well as what was your average spot LNG cost this quarter versus the last quarter?
Right now, readily we don't have the data, but we believe it should be available from the portals of the oil marketing companies.
Okay, sir. The second question is with respect to the new GAs, the 11th bidding round. So now that 60 odd new GAs have been, put in. So what would be our approach? I mean, would it be something different from what we did in the 9th and 10th bidding round? How would we approach this? Your thoughts on it?
The approach is likely to be similar. We will be selecting our bidding, and we have our benchmark or thresholds with respect to financial aspects as well as non-financial aspects. But there is no problem with reference to contiguity. We will be open on pan-India basis also. Fortunately, there are some GAs which are in the state of Maharashtra also, but that will not be a limitation for MGL, that's one for sure. We'll try our best to put in whatever we consider as aggressive bid.
Got it, sir. And one last question, if I may. Any update on the margin increase asked by the OMCs? Any update there?
Yes, there has been discussions even at ministry level. What has happened is the price, discount rise or trade discount increase which has been asked by the OMCs has been pretty steep. So in fact, almost entire CGD industry has represented with MOPNG. There has been a meeting chaired by the Secretary MOPNG as well. He had kindly heard both the sides, oil marketing companies as well as CGD industry, and he has also promised that he will look into the issues and try to show some guidelines to OMCs as well as to CGD industry and try to sort out the matter. However, we still await further direction, and thereafter the decisions will be taken.
Thank you, sir. I'll join back with you. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll take a next question from the line of Amit Rustagi from UBS. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir. Sir, could you help us understand that when we will have some timelines on this MRTC and this heavy trucks retrofitment? Because I think we have been hearing these things for quite a long time now. Do we have some timelines in mind that when we will have some clarity?
Well, this MSRTC has come out with a tender for the retrofitment of those buses. They had done something similar a few months back, but they couldn't go through the tender because probably all the pieces did not fit together, and because you have to have type 3 or type 4 cylinders supplier. You need to have a person who will do the retrofitment. The good news there is MSRTC has secured funding for these buses. The state government has given a grant because the diesel prices are so high. But we believe that if everything falls in place, these buses could get retrofitted in a time frame of about 6 to 8 months.
And sir, how many buses they have come out for tender with?
The tender is for 1,000 buses, but all 1,000 are not necessarily in MGL's geographical areas. The 1,000 is spread over 5-6 different locations where now in other areas of Maharashtra also CNG is available. So out of the 1,000, maybe roughly half of them could be in our geographical areas.
And so second thing I would like to ask about the allocation of domestic gas for the priority sector. So could you explain us what will be the way out, how and like when you expect the increase in the domestic supplies to the CGD sector? And will that be like any change in formula or allocation from 6 months to 3 months or something like that? What will be the modalities if you have some clarity?
A few weeks back, the CGD industries had a VC with the Secretary Petroleum, and we had represented our case, saying that the normal formula of the ministry is they do a 6-monthly average, and basis your actual sales, they give 110% of your actual sales as the allocation for the coming 6 months. Now this exercise for H1 we have been promised will be completed maybe in the first or second week of November, because GAIL is involved in data collection, CGD industry has to give all the data, and PPAC is also involved in the analysis. The other request which all the CGD companies made was that the second wave of COVID impacted sales volumes in April and May of this year.
Yep.
So industry requested that rather than taking a 6-monthly average, if the government could consider taking the Q2 average sales volumes to formulate the basis of allocation for the next half year. And both GAIL and the Secretary Petroleum have at least verbally assured that yes, they will do all that they can do to make sure that the domestic gas is available in sufficient quantities to meet the demand.
Okay, sir. Yeah, I think that was pretty clear. Sir, thanks a lot for all the answers, and I wish all and the entire management team best of luck and a happy Diwali. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Kirtan Mehta from BOB Caps. Please go ahead.
Thank you, sir, for giving this opportunity. First question is about these. Would you be able to sort of share the quantum of spot LNG that has been used during the quarter and the average price for the same?
Quantum, I think we already answered earlier. It is approximately 5% in this quarter 2, which we are required to push in. And as regards average price, it will be somewhere around $12 per MMBTU.
Sir, you mentioned 5% within the priority sector. So within the industrial and commercial segment, what would be the sort of the percentage which would have been used as a spot LNG?
There is no question over there because it is always supplied through RLNG itself, industrial and commercial.
Right, apart from the 0.1 MMSCMD allocation that you have it from Reliance, correct?
Yeah, you are right, absolutely.
The second question was about could you update on the plan of addition of gas-based buses by BEST, basically CNG buses by BEST? There has been a plan for around 500 buses that you have talked previously about. So what's the status and progress on this?
Well, the 500 buses already, some of them have started coming in. And what BST has told us is, I think in the coming 2 months or so, all the other buses should be in. We have upgraded our CNG facilities in a couple of depots to receive these buses, and 1 or 2 other depots work is going on. Apart from these buses, we are also in active discussions with BST to retrofit 185 of their diesel buses to CNG. So we are in talk with both BST and Tata Motors to get this done. So the time frame for that could be around 6 to 8 months. So Tata Motors has already started on the proof of concept, all the design and engineering part of it. And BST has offered to, send them some buses if they want to do any trials or get any testing done.
Yes, and one correction with respect to contract rate which you asked, RLC prices. It's not $12, it is around $14.50 per MMBTU for this quarter.
Thank you, sir. Okay, if I can add one more question, just to understand from the industrial and commercial space, what proportion of the volume has an ability to switch to an alternate fuel at this point of time?
Well, roughly about 70 to 80% of the volumes, they have the ability to switch.
Thank you, sir. Just going back to my first question about is it a 0.1 MMSCMD allocation?
Okay.
Just one follow-up on or is it 0.3 MMSCMD allocation for the RIL gas?
It's 0.1.
Slightly less than 0.1.
Sure. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mehta. We'll take our next question from the line of Aishwarya Agarwal from Nippon India. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, just want to understand, the second quarter was a bit weaker when we talk about the margins. So the gross margin itself was far lower versus the quarter one. So how we should look at the margin trajectory going forward? When I'm asking margin, my focus is on the gross margin, and plus how do you see the recovery of the margins which we have lost in the next quarter? That we will be able to recoup that.
Yes, this gross margin will comprise of gross margin from priority sector and gross margin from industrial commercial sector. As regards gross margin for priority sector, I think we have already taken price rise twice in October itself. That should help us to tide over the cost increase in the APM gas purchase what we have done. Also, there is an ability to pass through even further if it is required. And so in case of priority segment, I think the margins can be steady or slight improvement can also be seen with respect to gross margin. And in case of industrial commercials, we are trying our multiple ways to improve the margins. One is definitely we are looking for some midterm gas. I mean, no doubt it will take some amount of time, but we are thinking of or exploring the possibility of signing some midterm contract for our LNG. That is point number one. Also, there are some possibilities of flexibilities which we earlier mentioned, that in contracts with industrial and commercial customers, there are flexibilities available in exceptional circumstances. We can further consider some different pricing scenarios than the normal pricing scenario of benchmarking or indexing to alternate fuel prices. So we will try to do our best in case of industrial, commercial also to take care of the margins. But right now, a lot is going to depend on the scene on the front of prices of RLNG, both in terms of, definitely in terms of spot gas and also to some extent on long-term or middle-term prices. The scene which will prevail in Asia as well as particularly in India.
Sure, sir. I directionally understand, but my question was more with the reference to the gross margin, which we have posted in the Q1 versus the number which posted in Q2. So directionally, I understand it will move up, but what I want to understand at what level do you see these margins, or what is your goal in terms of setting the margin so that you take the adequate price hike, manage the gas contract, and come back target margin? Which probably would you want to margin or maybe slightly lower than that?
Specifying number is a bit difficult because, probably nobody will be able to exactly predict the prices of spot gas. And what has happened not only in case of industrial, commercial, prices of RLNG are important, but you must have heard earlier discussion that some amount of RLNG we were required to feed into priority segment also. So we are hoping with the ministry granting some concessions to us or being considerate on the formula for APM gas pricing, the situation will improve definitely in priority segment. And please note that priority segment accounts for nearly 86% of our total volume. Industrial commercial no doubt has a bit of a challenge, but 86% of our volumes will be coming through domestic and CNG put together. So that I think gives some definitely good chances for us to improve the margins at overall level as compared to whatever margins are prevalent right now. And EBITDA front, there will be an advantage. No doubt you are asking question from gross margin point of view. As far as EBITDA level is concerned, I think as volumes ramp up per unit, OPEX will also go down. And the improvement in margin at EBITDA level will obviously a bit higher than the rise which we can see in the gross margin level.
Sure, sir. Sir, one more question I have, if you allow, is how do you see the volume growth from here? We are already back to pre-COVID volume at this point of time. So how do you see the volumes ramping up, say, in next 1 year or so?
Volume recovery has been pretty strong, and we have exceeded our pre-COVID volumes also. The Q2 numbers already stated by the managing director, but if we look at the beginning of this month, the volumes have they have increased a bit, maybe in the 7 to 8%. I think will be the rough approximate increase in sales volumes.
In fact, at current level, just the latest information which is available, yesterday we had clocked the volume of 3.44 SCMD, which is pretty an encouraging sight for us, and CNG has improved. In fact, overall we have seen the improvement in almost all customer categories, except the probably domestic category rise is there, but relatively it was less. But all other categories have increased, and I think 3.44 is a pretty good level as compared to 3.10 level which was prevalent in February 2020.
But the 3.44 will be a weekday sale level. So if you factor in the holidays and weekends, etc., your average sales volumes is roughly about 3.35 or so.
So that's very good, sir. So that means the volume has a very good traction, but this is the current one, but how do you see going forward? Do you see this trend to continue going forward also? in terms of very good growth coming in?
Yes, there is some movement we are seeing, especially on the commercial vehicles front. Within this, Maruti and other OEs have started tapping this small commercial and medium commercial segment. And since the prices of diesel are almost touching 105 rupees per liter in Mumbai, lot of these, transporters are looking to, induct CNG vehicles.
So that's really good, sir. And sir, one more question since we're talking. Just how do you see the threat of this EV vehicle, especially on your bus segment? Because that is something which is generally being talked a lot, but I don't know how meaningfully it is going to impact on your CNG volume or the growth in the bus segment.
Look, if you look at the buses, the biggest operator is BEST, and in the last 1 or 2 months, they have been making some noises about inducting a lot of electric buses. But I think the key point there is they are talking of an expansion in their overall bus fleet. So the incremental, new buses which they induct would be EV, but we see a bit of an issue there because the scale at which they are talking about, they don't have that kind of charging infrastructure. Whereas our CNG infrastructure which is there is currently utilized at only about 25%. So we can, easily double the number of CNG buses and supply them with the same infrastructure. And we are encouraging them to, move to CNG because EVs, end of the day, they'll have to depend on, the money will have to come from somewhere. The initial funding required is huge. BST is cash strapped, so we have been trying to explain to them that CNG makes more sense.
Mr. Agarwal, may we request you to please return to the queue. There are several participants waiting for turn. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, may we request you to please limit your questions to one per party. We'll take a next question from the line of Rakesh Sethia from HDFC AMC. Please go ahead.
Hi. Thank you for the opportunity, sir. So my question is regarding the APM gas price, which probably would be increased significantly in the upcoming revision, which probably would be in the month of April. So just trying to understand how will you manage your CNG pricing in preparation for that? Would you wait for the actual price increase to happen and then take a large price increase, or are you thinking of taking any preemptive price hikes?
I think price rise because something happened in April. Right now may be a bit early to talk about because the initial price rises which we may take very soon will be targeting this reallocation of domestic gas, at what level will it come in and, will we be able to fully mitigate, get full volumes for our CNG growth, which is happening, quite rapidly. So that is something which, we will be looking at in the near future.
So the reason I'm asking this is, the 10 months of data is available to us and it is, even if one assumes there's going to be significant price correction in the global gas prices for the remaining 2 months, we are talking about, gas prices probably going up to $5, maybe even higher if the gas prices does not correct. And that would require a significant price hike just from the CNG perspective. And on top of that, you have already mentioned about the cost pressure on LNG side. So I'm just trying to understand that, should we expect the margins for the next few quarters would be lower before they start to normalize and as you take a gradual price increase? Or you think that the margin in the near term will be maintained or probably would improve as you were alluding in the earlier remarks?
Look, to answer your first question, there is nothing which forces us to wait till 1st April to, increase any price. So we could take, especially if we estimate that the jump is going to be significant, we could do it in steps to avoid any kind of a price shock to customers. But again, that call will be taking maybe somewhere a month or two down the line. It's not something which is immediately on the radar.
Understood, sir. And sir, if I heard it correctly about the impact of LNG on your priority volumes, did you say that 5% of your priority volumes were met through the spot LNG prices? Is that the correct understanding?
Yeah, right.
Oh, understood. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. We'll take a next question from the line of Pranav Tendulkar from Rare Enterprises. Please go ahead. Mr. Pranav Tendulkar, could you please unmute your line and go ahead with your question? There seems to be no response from this line. In the meanwhile, we'll move to our next question. That's from the line of Vivekanand S. from Ambit. Please go ahead.
Yeah, hi. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Can you give us a sense of what are the current conversions that are happening to CNG on a monthly basis, and little bit more on the segment level trends? I think you discussed a little bit about the commercial vehicles, but if you could give a broad overview with some numbers here, that would help. Thank you.
In this quarter, roughly about 16,800 CNG vehicles have been added into the system, and majority of them were private cars, about 12,600 odd. Now, commercial vehicles, about 2,500 of them added on in the quarter. Then a couple of hundred trucks have come on to CNG. And yeah, that's the majority. About 1,500 three-wheelers also added.
Okay. And if you could give a sense on the base of the commercial vehicles and possibly some sort of understanding of the opportunity for conversions in FY23, that would also be very helpful.
Look, what we are hearing from the OEs is that the CNG variants of commercial vehicles, wherever they are available, are basically the models which are selling. The diesel models are not selling anymore because of the price of diesel. And we are also, launching some incentive schemes to promote conversion of existing diesel commercial vehicles onto CNG. So we are planning to give, a preloaded fuel cards kind of a thing, which will, we are also trying to arrange for, financing for the conversion of these vehicles, because, these are already pre-owned diesel vehicles. And so we have already spoken to 2-3 of, vehicle finance companies to, encourage them and to make use of the opportunity, because the diesel prices are today, putting a lot of pressure on these fleet operators and commercial vehicle operators to switch and save money.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Our next question is from the line of Rahul Agarwal from L&T Mutual Fund. Please go ahead. Mr. Rahul Agarwal, could you please unmute your line and go ahead with your question?
Yeah, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So my question again is with respect to the gas cost increase. So this quarter we've seen the cost increase from 8.5 to around 13. And the next quarter with the spot LNG where it is, we might be seeing this number move to somewhere around 20, 21 kind of a number. So this kind of increase and your comment about that the margins should be healthy and staying upwards in the near term. So I'm just trying to understand that this kind of increase, are we planning to pass on? Because the priority sector increase, I understand, has been to the extent of 4.5 around. So how should we look at this?
think we touched upon this aspect. One is that ability to pass through gas cost in case of priority sector, that is CNG and domestic, is pretty good. Also, there will be most probably some good news to be heard by entire CGD industry with respect to supply of APM for CNG domestic to the extent it is required from say mid-November onward. So I think margin front on CNG and domestic, there should be reasonably comfortable scenario prevailing, and at least with respect to MGL, CNG and domestic accounts for nearly 86% of volumes. Now, industrial and commercial will be only 14%. Yes, there is a concern about the rising spot prices, and in case of industrial and commercial, 100% quantity through spot prices, except that RIL source which we have, which could be around 25% of the total industrial commercial requirement. There are some flexibilities available with us, as we mentioned earlier, in the contacts with industrial and commercial customers. So we will be taking a judicious call with respect to some price increase vis-a-vis the retention of volumes, which will also be one of our primary mottos.
So should we take that this level of gross margin is something should be the base, and below this shouldn't be the in the coming quarters or the year going ahead?
It is difficult to specify the number that I said earlier, but I think the scene could be quite good or encouraging on domestic and CNG front. There could be some challenge on industrial commercial. This is with respect to gross margins. But as volumes will ramp up further, the operating costs are going to drop on per unit basis. So while gross margin, it could be steady or only some improvements which we will see, definitely the proportionately higher improvements we will see in EBITDA margin on per SCM basis.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot and all the best.
Thank you. We'll take a next question from the line of Anubhav Agarwal from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. One question on the industrial segment only. So are you profitable right now in October when you are servicing them currently?
October, we obviously right now can't talk. This call is basically for Q2, and on an average basis, yes, we were in profit.
Okay. Okay. That's. Thank you, sir. That was my only question.
Thank you. We'll take a next question from the line of Vikas Jain from CLSA. Please go ahead. Mr. Vikas Jain, could you please unmute your line and go ahead with your question? As there's no response, we'll move to our next question. Before we take a next question, we would like to request participants to limit their question to one per party. Our next question is from the line of Vidyadhar Ginde from ICICI Securities. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. So my question was on, so in September there is PNGRB has come out with a public notice on the declaration of common carrier, contract carrier for Mumbai GA. So how do you see this thing moving forward?
Currently, the whole exclusivity thing is sub judice in Delhi High Court. I think some entities have challenged it, including us. So it will be a drawn-out battle. I think legal battle will be there. Of course, the PNGRB currently doesn't have quorum, it doesn't have a member legal, so they don't really have the ability to do anything. But assuming that difficulty goes away in the coming weeks and months, there is still that legal challenge to be surmounted.
But so how do you see, what is the possibility that allowing competition is seen by the government and the Petroleum Ministry as the way to protect the consumer as gas prices move up? APM is also going to go up sharply next year. So one of the best ways to take care of the consumer, who probably is their most important concern, would be to allow competition. How do you see that playing a part? Pardon me?
opening up will definitely be the case in the medium and long term. However, I mean, what will be the outcome of that? I mean, if you have seen the November 2020 regulations on the excess code, they have given CGD companies protection up till that date. So whatever CNG stations, etc., we opened till November 21, there are about 260 odd of them. They will continue to remain with us. So it is only the new incremental volumes in stations which could be, at risk. And of course, biggest volume segment is CNG, almost 74% of our volumes. Domestic, we see relatively less risk because it is a very painstaking job, to supply 0.4 XCMD to a few million customers. Industrial and commercial, yes, there could be some competition where large industries may choose to buy from other suppliers, or they may opt to buy gas off the exchange. But then we will, address that as and when it happens.
Because, sir, the CNG, whatever the PNGRB regulations, they are not etched in stone. We've seen them change their own regulations in the past. Like, for example, in case of the gas pipelines, for old pipelines, they were using 100% utilization as the volume divisor. When matter went to appellate tribunal, it was changed. It's not as if what they have said last November is etched in stone, especially because we are heading towards an extraordinary situation in the next few months. And we were not aware that, in fact, things are somewhat worse right now only because of the spot LNG which you have to use for domestic. So we are getting into a very phase where the government itself will have to take a very some tough decisions. And next year we have several elections in important states. So consumer interest will again be something which will be topmost. And you guys are sitting on, if you go back and look at over the last 7-8 years since you started getting APM gas, as complete, your margins, all of your margins have gone up very sharply.
Well, our understanding is, at least as of now, the government is very supportive of CGD because they understand that, this gas allocation and whatever they are doing is an essential ingredient if they want more infrastructure to come in place. So a lot of people who are invested in CGD bidding rounds and in the upcoming 11th round, it is all anchored on the assumption that, some relatively cheaper, gas would be available for the priority segments.
No, but they will get...
have to balance out its, priorities of...
No, I think you will get APM gas. You will get APM gas. But the point is that next year the APM gas itself will be at a much higher price. That's the problem, which is probably a one-year problem. It's probably because year thereafter probably prices are going to go down again. Maybe not to the levels we had in the past, but significantly lower is a possibility FY24. And unfortunate decision on this issue might get taken next year.
The prices will go up and down. I mean, there is no predicting for that. There were times when, spot was available for $2.
Correct.
There were times when APM was there at more than $5 per MMBTU.
Correct, but your margins were very high when it was at 2, so you should take lower margins when the spot is at higher levels.
Ms. Ghinde, I'm sorry, but you'll have to return to the...
I'm not asking questions, ma'am. This is a discussion going on. And if they don't want to talk further, I'm fine.
So there are several participants waiting for their turn to ask a question. Maybe you can take this question offline with the management team. Thank you. We'll take a next question from the line of Manikantha Garre from Franklin Templeton. Please go ahead.
Good evening, sir. Thanks for providing me the opportunity. So I understand from your earlier commentary that you are having a discussion with the ministry on the reallocation of APM gas, maybe from mid-November onwards. So on that lines, wanted to check with you if there are any discussions with the ministry on the upcoming sharp rise in APM gas prices and the kind of price hikes, not just you, but the entire Fijian industry will have to take in priority sector, be it CNG or domestic PNG. So would there be, first of all, were there any discussions with respect to that? And would you think that the ministry would be okay with such sharp price hikes you may end up taking finally?
I think the government has gone on record saying that pricing in CGD is full freedom is available to the operator to decide on pricing. So there is nothing like what you're saying on the cards, at least not that we are aware of.
Okay, and what about the discussion part? Was there any discussion with respect to this sharp rise in APM gas prices that is going to happen? Were there any discussions at all on this?
Yeah. Are you referring to the APM price going forward in the month of April?
Yes.
The formula? There is no discussion as such of changing the formula as of now. Nothing on anvil.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. We'll take a next question from the line of Vikas Jain from CLSA. Please go ahead.
Thanks for the opportunity. So I wanted to understand this 5% that you're talking about. Firstly, the $14.50 per MMBTU that you talked about, that's the average for the quarter, but a large part of the volume jump that you would have seen might have happened only in September. So the 5% blended number that you're talking about could actually mean a higher number than 14.5 also. Is that understanding correct, firstly?
Can you repeat? I am not very clear. The figures are right, around 5% RLNG required in priority in quarter 2, $14.50 price is also correct. But what is that you are exactly asking?
Okay, fine. So nowadays, sir, even with 5% at 14.5, essentially that would itself mean that your overall raw material cost for priority sector would be 35% or so higher than what the APM price was. So, I mean, that's a pretty big hit. And if you say that this 5% has increased even more in October, I mean, the proportion has increased a little bit, and more than anything, the price would, if anything, be nearly double of that 14.5, because October spot LNG prices are almost double of what the average of last quarter. So if that's the case, then that itself would mean price, your raw material cost would be higher by almost about, something like 65% plus. Is that broadly correct? I mean, if that is the case, then the October margins could take a pretty big hit, right?
Yeah, but I think when it comes to margin, we suggest we should not take a very short-term views like monthly margins and that sort of thing. Plus, as we already discussed, the requests have already been lodged with the ministry, and hopefully in November itself we should hear something good, say almost 100% quota for, 100% APM quota being made available to CNG and domestic. That news should be forthcoming anytime, according to us.
I understand that, but sir, with October and at least half of November getting hit so badly, the quarter could be a pretty bad one in terms of overall margins, even if you get it by middle of November.
You're right, but we have taken price rise also October twice we have taken. We are not ruling out a possibility that we will not take further price rise. That also exists. And we are obviously keeping interest of the customers in also mind, and not just short-term interest, but the long-term interest of the customers also. But there are pricing, ability to pass through cost is definitely exists with the companies. Only thing we are taking little cautious call, because you might have seen now, which has never happened probably in the history of MGL, that in this quarter the light commercial vehicles numbers are 2,500 LCVs are added. When such good movements are happening, and as you know, the potential is pretty high in LCVs, we are a bit cautious. Raising prices could be a matter of just few seconds for us. But when such kind of things are happening, that even LCV segment is looking at coming to CNG in a full-fledged manner, both definitely OEM sales have gone up, and with some incentives which we are likely to offer, or even financing schemes, a good volume jump could be seen in CNG to at least some extent. Whatever could be reduced on a per unit basis, we should be able to garner from volume increase point of view. That is what we could say right now.
Yes, 100%. I'm pretty much with you that your focus should be longer term, and I am not denying that. But from a shorter term perspective, since you've requested the ministry to take 2Q as the average, if there is a bigger volume jump, then, and even if ministry agrees to the request by middle of November, what it will mean is that beyond the 10%, there will be significant negative operating leverage in terms of eating into margins. At least for the second half of this, you're correct, your approach is absolutely right, that you're thinking about it over the longer term. But that could really be a near-term pain point if my understanding is correct. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean short term, if we are specifically talking about October month, for example, or maybe initial November also, then your understanding calculation is right, no doubt about that.
Okay. And so just one more thing, the way this allocation work, if you can remind us on it, did you also gain when volumes were falling, as in did you get extra gas which you were able to use for your industrial commercial during those periods, that is the last 3-4 quarters? Or you don't really, it's just the limit of 10% extra, but in other quarters you don't really gain in terms of extra gas. Just to, yeah.
If I understand your question correctly, you are saying that when we get extra gas, can we divert it to I&C, right?
No, I'm saying that, say, for example, 1Q, 2Q, when volumes fell so dramatically, say 1Q, last year, or even 1Q of this year, did you manage to get some extra gas which was allocated based on the earlier quarters, and then, that balance you were able to use beyond CNG and residential PNG for that quarter? Is that something? No. Is that also something which
that's not allowed.
Okay, understood.
That's not allowed.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we take our next question, we would like to remind participants, you may please restrict your question to one per party. We'll take our next question from the line of Varatharajan Sivasankaran from Antique Limited. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So last time you had mentioned about this outlet upgradation and new outlets and MRUs, a combination of all three, a plan for the current year. Can you just update us again, as to where we stand on the outlet upgradation and what do you think about the...
Sorry, your voice is muffled. I mean, if you're in a speaker mode or hands-free mode, please switch to handset and speak.
Yeah, is this better? Hello?
Yes, you may go ahead.
Yeah. This outlet upgradation and this entire plan of outlet upgradation plus new outlets and MRUs, where do we stand in the current year as to what you had planned in the beginning of the year, as well as any extension of this plan into the next year?
Currently, we have opened 9 new stations this financial year, and we upgraded about 12 stations, and so that's a total of 21, and we are looking at least a score of somewhere between 50 and 60, hopefully.
For the current year, and should we take a similar number for next year?
Yeah, for the full financial year. MRUs, as we mentioned earlier, we have received 11 applications, and those are under evaluation and processing.
Yeah. So this 50 to 60, can we take the same kind of a number next year as well?
Yes, that will be our endeavor, because if the kind of demand which is coming up now, especially from commercial vehicles, etc., if we want to cater to that demand, yes, we will need to open stations, we'll need to upgrade more stations.
If I may request for a breakup between the new GA as well as the old GA, sir, any breakup available?
GA-wise. Breakup in what?
GA-wise.
In the outlets.
21 is in GA3.
The total, if you... one sec. In GA3 we have 21. In the city of Mumbai we have 141, and in a total of 277. I mean, the remaining are in GA2. 141 in GA1, 21 in GA3, in total 277.
I was talking about the new outlets, any breakup.
New outlets will, the majority will probably be GA2 and Raigad. Mumbai may be a slightly smaller number.
Thanks, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, we'll be taking our last question. That's from Yogesh Patil from Reliance Securities. Please go ahead.
Thanks for taking my question. Sir, my question related to electric vehicle charging stations or battery swapping stations. Are you planning to enter into the same business? And if answer is yes, then what would be the capex lineup for the same, and how many charging stations you are planning to come up in the next 1 to 2 years?
Well, we have done one pilot installation along with Tata Power, just to get a feel of the business. But as of now, there is no concrete plan as such, because the demand for CNG is so high. There is a limitation of space in our stations. As it is, most of our stations are co-located in OMC premises, so there we won't be able to put up any EV charging. But in the 50-60 stations which we have effective control, our endeavor is if there is any additional space there, we want to upgrade that capacity. We want to put more compressors, more dispensers, because the demand for CNG is huge.
Okay. And my second question related to your capex plans for financial year 22 and financial year 23 period. So how many station addition is expected in the second half of current fiscal?
You are talking about this financial year and next financial year?
Yes. Capex plans for the financial year FY22 and FY23. And station additions, if you could give us any ballpark number for the second half of the current fiscal.
I think station additions earlier was already mentioned, I think, but total capex could be in the region of 600 crores each, this year as well as next year also. However, significantly it will be dependent upon the approvals which we get from different authorities. I mean, even as on today, though lockdown has eased definitely, as you know, these permissions which we get from different authorities are paper based. There is no electronic approvals which basis approvals are received. So assuming the approvals we receive at much faster pace than what was the scenario for last nearly almost a year or more than that, our aim is definitely to spend 600 crores each at least. Funds is not an issue, and it is not only just CNG outlets. There will be some from security point of view, security of supply point of view. There will be steel grid pipelines also will be laid. Then obviously medium pressure pipelines will also be there. We are looking at some additional office spaces also. So funds are available. Definitely budgets have been approved by the board of directors for all kinds of capex. The question will more hinge on from the amount point of view, how fast we receive the approvals.
Okay, thanks a lot, sir, and wish you all happy Diwali.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to hand the floor back to Mr. Harsh Dole for closing comments. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. On behalf of IIFL Securities, I'd like to sincerely thank the management for giving us the opportunity to host the call. Thank you very much, and season's greetings to everyone. Operator, would you be kind enough to pass the line to management for the final remarks? Thank you.
Sure, sir. Over to you, management, for closing comments.
Thank you, and happy Diwali to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of ICICI Securities Limited, that concludes this conference. Thank you for joining us, and you may now disconnect your lines.